acknowledge them as humans and not just as like, okay, you're a taskmaster. This is the one thing that I need you to do every day, all week. But truly getting to know them. Like we had one guy who loved working on old bands. We had one guy who was obsessed with his son. One guy did, acting, over the weekends. But it was paying attention to those small moments and those little things that they would drop here and there, and nursing that in our relationship, building that trust and that camaraderie to, over a couple year period, really getting to know these people outside of what they were doing for work and checking in on them as a, not just as a supervisor, but as a human, like, just like, hey, how's your kid doing?
Your business's success depends on relationships with customers, relationships with employees, and relationships with stakeholders. What do they all have in common? They're all human. Because no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Welcome to the Human Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Karl Pontau. Each week, I'll bring you stories, insights, and practical advice from experts that you can apply to your growing company and daily life. This week, I'm excited to connect with Nick Howe. He is a mental health care SaaS entrepreneur who's passionate about improving how we connect both in business and our personal relationships. As a creator of Cups and Spoons app and the Hugs Hub software platform, he has spent years researching what the mental health care industry really needs and building solutions to move it forward. Through his work, Nick has discovered that the same principles that help build better mental health tools, intentional attention, genuine care, and consistent small efforts, are exactly what entrepreneurs need to create authentic connections with their audiences. He believes that spending just a little extra effort and awareness on the people who matter most, whether that's your business community or your life partner, can transform communication, build deeper trust, and develop the kind of emotional awareness that makes everything else possible. Congrats on helping entrepreneurs create authentic connections, and welcome to the Human Connection Podcast.
Karl, thank you very much, man. It's so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here because I think it's something that it's a skill set or just a habit that so many leaders these days and people that are running businesses often, I think everyone needs to work on more, is how to build those strong relationships, those connections with people in their lives. And I love that the whole what you just mentioned in the bio there about it's these little actions that have a huge impact on the relationship that people aren't really aware of. So tell me more about how you help people build stronger, more sense of like self-awareness and help them find this path towards deeper connection.
So the best way I could probably shed some light on that is with the app Cups and Spoons. It's a board game, essentially. It focuses on intent and effort within a moment and taking the time to recognize and acknowledge that moment between you and your partner. And the best way I can, simplify that is like, you're just banking effort and feelings into your relationship and recognizing those moments. And over time, just like anything, whether it's a practice or exercise, you get better at that. And as you continue to practice that, your communication improves. You have a deeper sense of trust with your partner, and your emotional awareness towards them increases as well, because you're paying attention to those little moments, and because those moments and the effort that you put into those moments allows for deeper communication, and it just kind of recycles into itself. Those small things in really any relationship, it doesn't have to be a romantic one, paying attention to those and putting effort and intent into recognizing and acknowledging those moments can help, any interpersonal relationship.
Yeah, I think it's something that, because there are these seem so small and inconsequential, the individual moments when looked at in a vacuum, people often overlook the importance of them. But when you understand how often how quickly these things add up, it really can have a huge impact on the health of a relationship. And it really comes down to just building the right sort of habits of, could be just like recognizing someone for doing a good job, or just like recognizing them for how they like the outfit they're wearing, or little things that show you see them and appreciate them. Doesn't have to be sweeping grand gestures that take a whole lot of effort, but just making little comments or recognizing people for their efforts on a smaller day-to-day or even like hour-to-hour level. Those are all deposits into that relationship vault. And then if you those, that kind of builds up interest and compounds over time to build a strong relationship. But if you're never making those deposits, then you're not building that. If something disruptive happens, then you don't have the safety net to keep the relationship going, and all of a sudden you're often going to lose it.
Correct.
And it's something that actually, I remember hearing someone on a show talking about how there's a study that even something as simple as like if it's like a couple, it was like reading, one's reading a newspaper and one of the one's like on their phone or something. If someone goes, like they saw something interesting that they were reading, and the other one doesn't respond, like, what was it? It takes like 5 nice gestures to replace that one kind of ignored, just a simple noise of like ignoring them when they make a noise that sounds like they're interested about something.
Yeah.
And that kind of is fascinating. But then when you think about all the different examples of, we see people like in healthy relationship versus not so healthy, that's like those little things are reacted to, or the interactions when those sort of events happen is much different. And it makes a lot more sense when you kind of have a chance to step back and see how it all fits together.
Exactly. Yeah. I came across the same article, and that stems around, it's a Gottman Institute study. They call them bids for connection. Sometimes they're conscious, sometimes they're unconscious, but that extends outside of a romantic relationship and into platonic relationships as well. I do that with my buddies, my coworkers, and I recognize those moments in the opposite as well. As like, hey, the easiest example is sending a friend like a meme or a GIF on social media. It's like, hey, I thought of you in this and I wanted to share it. And it, the reaction the reaction and the acknowledgement of the receipt of whatever was sent is acknowledgement. And that helps to it's a very, very minuscule example, but that does help build connection.
Yeah. And I think for leaders, if they're running a business and trying to improve their connections with their like executive teams or with other staff members, they're, despite how many other things they have on their plate, it's not hard to fit in those moments, or to speak and if you build that habit, it's not something that's going to disrupt your overall workflow, but it is about a little mindset shift for being aware of those opportunities and knowing how to act on them in a way that's going to strengthen those relationships. And so what's a way that you see works for getting people to build these new habits?
It really kind of starts with self-awareness, like being aware of how you present yourself, how you communicate to, the people that you're working with, and what kind of presence you bring to, wherever you're working, makes all of the difference. And if you have that self-awareness, the introspection to go, okay, this is where I'm at, it's a lot easier to pick up on the things that other people are doing who you work with.
So I imagine since you've been working on this so long, you've seen people that are like doing this really well, or people that, or if you help people kind of improve this. Yeah, is there some example of like a time you've worked with someone on building these habits, or kind of what are some transformations you've seen that are really valuable for the people involved?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my previous one of the companies that I previously worked at, I was a general manager for a little wine distribution company. I came on board, really kind of overhauled the company because they were struggling a little bit to serve their customer base, and they wanted to grow. And so it was kind of on me to redevelop their infrastructure, establish new teams, establish new processes and procedures. And in doing so, I got to hire new people. And it was at that point being able to really kind of get to know these people before I hired them, where their integrities were at, bring them on board, but starting to acknowledge them as humans and not just as like, okay, you're a taskmaster. This is the one thing that I need you to do every day, all week. But truly getting to know them. Like, we had one guy who loved working on old bands. We had one guy who was obsessed with his son. One guy did, acting, over the weekends. But it was paying attention to those small moments and those little things that they would drop here and there, and nursing that in our relationship, building that trust and that camaraderie to, over a couple year period, really getting to know these people outside of what they were doing for work, and checking in on them as a, not just as a supervisor, but as a human, like, just like, hey, how's your kid doing? Or like, how's that most recent band going? Or like, do you have any gigs, lately that I can be aware of to cheer you on for? And in doing that, not only did I become very, very close with these people, but they saw how I was willing to take the extra step, outside of work for them. When it came to crunch time within our business and in the industry, they were willing to like step up to the plate and do some, do extra hours or do some extra hard work or take on extra responsibilities just to get us out of the weeds. But not hate having to be asked or willingly accept those responsibilities. So it was really kind of at that moment, where I was able to be the kind of leader that I have always wanted to have, but also saw that people really, really appreciate. I came to really kind of care for these people inside and outside of work, and that was reciprocated like tenfold when it was necessary. And that was, I guess, a big step forward into, where I'm at now, and what I'm building is like recognizing those small moments and just, again, nursing them along to really build out, solid teams. But then after time, I saw that happen in between other people and in between other teams too, which was really exciting. They all really kind of started to care about the other people that they were working with, and they were willing to take that extra step forward and go, it's like, okay, like, how can I make your life easier when I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Or what do I need to be aware of that's tertiary to our responsibilities that, could benefit us or could hamper, how we're working? And it was really kind of, it was a really inspiring, couple of years to be able to see that happen.
Yeah, that's a great example of how these little gestures and the connections that they bring helped you not only keep make your employees happy, but also you unlocked more of, like, they're willing to give more and work harder and support each other. And like you said, and not hate having to do it. Because I think a lot of companies right now are like, they're trying to get like more with less and trying to get people to work harder and do more things. But the employees, because they're not feeling that connection, they're not being seen as humans, are resisting it, and they're not willing to put the extra effort in or contribute more, because they're not getting that initial connection attempt from leadership. They're still being seen as like a cog in a machine, not a human being that has a life and like values and worries and concerns. And so the key takeaway for I think anyone in a leadership role is if you're trying to motivate your people and inspire them to be more productive or to rally behind the business to when things like in a crunch time, it's the key is to start paying attention, being more aware of how you're showing up and how you're building these relationships with them and how to recognize them as and respect them as human beings. Because when you show that in a genuine way and respect people for who they are as human beings, not just as an employee with a job title and responsibilities, and all of a sudden people want to reciprocate, they want to give back, they want to help out because they feel like you care for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate that this is something that employers need to be reminded of because it's such a basic like, human relationship thing of just when you see people as people and treat them that way and like acknowledge them for who they are and like these basic human behaviors of how we connect with each other.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't new, but just people have let these muscles atrophy in the name of like efficiency and like metrics and numbers and like the business that the transactional side of businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And they've forgotten the personal side that when you have both, you get a lot more from your a lot more productivity, you got more like revenue from clients, you get a lot more repeat business because it's not just the transactions that drive the business forward, it's the people involved because they're still, like I said in the intro, it's all H to H.
Absolutely. And there's an analogy I've been using for like about 10 years. I've always hated being referenced to like being a cog in the machine. And I'm like, that's not the case. Like we're living beings. And so I attribute leadership to tending a garden. You have your people who are the garden, they're all their own individual plants. And every day you have to tend to the garden. And each individual plant is going to need something different every day. And you have to be aware of what that is to be able to take care of what that is so that teammate can thrive. Because if you just let it lay fallow, the garden will die. Like if you just expect it to do its thing on its own, or you don't tend to it or care for it, like the living being it is, because you want it to produce something. If you don't take care of it, it won't do as well. But as soon as you start paying just a little attention every day to maintain that garden, it does significantly better.
Yeah, and I think I really like that garden analogy because there's so many facets to it when it comes to keeping out pests or weeds that are going to throttle the healthy. It's like it becomes like company culture. So getting rid of those things, it's about having to like different fertilizers for different plants, different. And like I say, that's a really good metaphor, an analogy because it really shows the sort of attention that and mindset that leaders need to have because you can, like a garden, if you nurture it, you'll get what you want, but you can't like force them to grow faster than it's gonna naturally take. And you're not gonna get like if you plant tomato plants and expect them to get cucumbers, like you're not gonna get cucumbers. So it's like tomato plants. So it's that's that might be one I'm gonna steal because I really like that. That's a good analogy, and there's a lot of places to go with that. And it's
dude, if it helps you win, take it, man.
Yeah. And so what's the? Because we're talking about like this mindset shift and kind of the building these new habits. But what's kind of like the first step that people can take to build this self-awareness and and building these relationships? What's kind of like the right sort of mindset shift that people should take first to get on the right path?
Man, that's a hard one because everybody is different. For me, one of the key factors to really kind of like building some forward momentum was kind of identifying when I was getting upset. Not like volcanic exploding angry, but like fidgety, agitated, kind of edgy, and go, okay, all right, I need to take a pause and go, where did this come from? Because that's my next step, is getting frustrated after I'm already anxious. And it's like, okay, now it's time. It's just walking your path in reverse to go, okay, like why did this start? Why am I edgy? Why am I sitting on a bed of nails? Like, why am I like this? Why am I reacting like this? And really kind of looking back and going, okay, where did this start from? What set me off? And once you can start acknowledging those moments, it gives you the opportunity to adjust your mindset and reaction before you get to that stage. And in doing that, I was able to build a significant amount of self-awareness and go, okay, these are my trigger areas. These are where I have problems. But now I know that these are my problems. Like, this is my issue. And once I can start working on my issue and gain clarity and balance, even in the situations that are pushing me in a way that I'm uncomfortable with, or I in the past didn't react well with, you have that clarity in those moments to be able to look outward and see more opportunity to do that throughout. Case in point, there was an instance with my son just the other day. He got some crumbs on his bed, and it's like, it's just a thing that kind of pushes my buttons. It's like, buddy, you just more or less just kind of like pay attention to what you're eating so you don't make a mess. And it happened, and I got agitated, and I'm like, I took a couple seconds to go, all right, why did I get agitated? And it was walking back, and it was like, I had just finished all the laundry for the day, and I didn't want to do more laundry. And that was it. Like, it wasn't the fact that he made a mess, like a minuscule mess, just a couple crumbs on his bed. It was the fact that, like, okay, I had already planned and executed the mental energy and workload in doing my laundry. I didn't want to have to do more. And I'm like, okay, it's not a him thing, it's a me thing. And once you're able to acknowledge and reflect within those moments as they're happening, the opportunity to rectify a situation where there is agitation or change your mindset and go, okay, it allows you to shift, but also communicate better. Because in that moment, I'm like, okay, this is what's happening. And I go, hey, buddy, I'm sorry. Daddy just didn't want to do laundry. You're okay. We'll get the crumbs cleaned up. It's not a big deal. Don't feel bad. Like, this is on me. And it's those moments of reflection. Like, once you can get to a space where you can capitalize on those moments as they're happening, the ability to shift your mindset into something else is I can't say it's easier, but those moments become so significantly powerful in that relationship and in self-growth. So it's instances like that. At least that worked for me. But again, everybody's different. So it's a matter of really kind of like digging into yourself to see where you're at or where you want to go, and just kind of starting and taking that step forward. And because it's been, this journey of mine in getting to that point has been 9 years long. Like, I wasn't this person 9 years ago, and it's been just another step forward, one win here, 2 steps back.
Yeah.
And it's just trying to make progress every day.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for connecting with me today, Nick. If you enjoyed this episode of the Human Connection Podcast, please leave a review, and share it. If you'd like to connect with myself or Nick, check out the links in the show notes. And remember, no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Happy connecting.